You're a strong little cat, aren't you, you little Mr. Cat person? Hi guys, how's everyone doing? Good, I hope. A little bit late to the party with this one, but today I am reviewing the latest fragrance to come from the house of Zoologist, which is CIVET. First of all, thank you Victor for sending me this. Victor Wong is the man behind this company. Love this brand, said it loads of times before, and I feel great because now I've reviewed all of them. Well, after this one I will have anyway. So the perfumer behind this fragrance is Shelley Waddington. She owns a company called En Voyage Fragrances. I've tried some of theirs, well, some of theirs, yeah, they're just really, really good. I've tried, what's the amazing one? Zelda. That fragrance is so cool. A little bit about Zoologist. Their fragrances are all named after animals. They're very kind of, I would say, botanical. They're about the environments that these animals live in. So the ingredients they choose for the fragrances themselves reflect that of the environment the animal lives in. And it's a really cool concept. I love it. They've got a fragrance called Bat. They've got Panda. They've got Rhinoceros. They've got Nightingale, Macaque, and some other ones that I can't think of right now. But I have reviewed them all. So go and check them out if you care to. But yeah, thanks Victor for this. So let's talk about CIVET. CIVET is an animal, obviously. It's a cat. It's a cat that roams the forests in Asia and Africa. And it's a controversial note. And it's not anymore, but it used to be because this is going to be disgusting, but they used to use the anal gland secretions from the civet cats and create it into or refine it into an ingredient that you could use in perfumery. On its own, it's absolutely horrendous. I would never ever recommend smelling on its own. It's disgusting, as you can imagine, but used in tiny amounts, mainly in vintage fragrances, it used to give a certain feeling, a slight animalic feeling, and that leads me on to say that this fragrance does have a vintage feel because it was a favoured note in days of yore. So let me go through the description with you and the notes. The note listings for Zoologist fragrances are always kind of epic, so be prepared. They are very complex fragrances. A lot of them smell very natural and gorgeous, and they're very different from a lot of things that I've smelled. So anyway, it says, as the sun sinks over the dense tropical forest, civets emerge warily from the thickets. Under a carpet of narcotic flower blossoms, a smattering of coffee berries peppers the ground. I was going to go into a little discussion about civet cat coffee poo stuff, but you get the gist. These are the cats that poo out the coffee and people drink it, right? You get that? And coffee's in here as well. The moist air is heavy with mossy aromas that penetrate every crevice, but the musky scent of the civets dominate, their marked territory daring one to enter at one's own risk. They look a little bit cute, but sometimes vicious. There's lots of different breeds of them as well. Welcome to David Attenborough's New World programme. Zoologist CIVET pays homage to the old ingredient civet as well as sheep perfumes of bygone days. That's what I should say, bygone days rather than olden days or days of yore. A bewildering, sophisticated scent with the promise of a sultry nighttime rendezvous. So, what are the notes? Get ready. The top notes are bergamot, black pepper, lemon, orange, spices and tarragon. The heart notes are carnation, frangipani, heliotrope, hyacinth, linden blossom, tuberose and ylang ylang. And then the base notes, the base is where it just starts to go crazy up in here. Base notes are balsams, civet, of course, coffee, of course, incense, labdanum, musks, oak moss, resins, Russian leather, vanilla, vetiver and woods. Holy moly. So I'm going to be passing on my sample to the lovely Forever Fragrant Kid, as I promised. I'm just going to spray a little bit more. This is my second sample that I've worn of this fragrance. I'm going to give it another spray. Ooh. Not that it needs 2 sprays by any means. Yeah, I've worn this quite a few times, and the first thing I'm going to tell you is, it is powerful. I think it's probably the strongest one of the entire line, along with Bat and probably Rhino. This stuff is so strong and it lasts such a long time. It's one of those 2 spray things where that's it. It lasts all day. And with all of the Zoologist fragrances, you need to give them time to take you on their little journey because they need to. Anyway, what does it smell like? It smells like a whole lot. This is a very, very difficult review. I'm not going to make any bones about that. It's a real toughie. Victor and Shelley, you have swamped me? Stumped me. I get... Oh gosh, right. Okay, whoa, let me just... Whoa, okay. The opening stages of it is where I will say it's at its prettiest. It's never really a pretty fragrance, but it's where it's at its brightest. That's probably a better word to say. This is the part where you can smell the florals and the fresher type of notes, but I can immediately feel heavy stuff in there. I get such a strong note of coffee in this. I can really feel the roastedness of the coffee in amongst everything that's going on. I really feel like this has every single facet of a perfume you can have in one thing. It's floral, it's resinous, it's woody, it's dry, it's slightly citrusy at first as well. It's an abundance of different notes and things all at once, and it is very, very complex. It's probably one of the most complex fragrances I've ever reviewed, I think, and that's why it's really tough. So it's one of these ones where I'll say, try it on your own skin for sure, because you might get something completely different to me. This one's all about experience and personal experience. It's got such a solid backbone that's quite rough. And the most brilliant thing about this is how expertly placed the note of CIVET is. While it gives the overall feeling of the fragrance, it never smells overly animalic or horrible or CIVET-like. It's like the CIVET is kind of the backdrop and it's the theme, but it's the amount used in it is absolute perfection, where it never takes it to a skanky place, which is great. There's so many other things that wash over it and kind of balance it out. So it feels like a vintage fragrance, but you can tell that it's modern in composition, and that's really, really clever. Kudos again. I can smell a kind of dance going on between a strong white floral. The main note that's voted in Fragrantica in this, other than CIVET, is tuberose. I don't really smell tuberose in this, but I can tell there's a white floral element with lots of other floral notes kind of dancing around, but they are kind of not in the forefront. It's the base is really pushing forward out of this one straight away. It's really quite heavy, and it's really what's the word I'm looking for? It's so full-bodied and rich, this fragrance, and it's definitely, they say it's a nod to a vintage fragrance, and I can't stress that enough. It definitely feels vintage. I will say that I would put it together with Nightingale. If you've smelled Nightingale of theirs, they don't smell the same at all, but it's like they're from the same era. While Nightingale was kind of more powder puffy and plum blossomy, this is a rougher, a little bit more daring kind of fragrance, I think. Wow, lots going on, lots. Wow, the core of this fragrance is so... I don't even need to smell it that close. It's really strong. It really is strong. When it starts to get into its stride a little bit more, what was floral starts to turn a little bit, and the solid base comes out even more. It turns a little bit more rough. It's a little bit more... the mossy side of it's coming out, and the CIVET, you can still feel it, it's still there all the time, but I really can feel this kind of burnt, roasted-y, golden-y type feel from it as well, which I think is really great. And I wouldn't necessarily call it pleasant, but that doesn't matter. I don't think it's meant to be, oh, that's really pretty, you know. This is a statement fragrance for sure. I can feel a resinous type smell in there, so there is smooth, it's got, like I said, it's got every facet. I can feel smoothness, I can feel roughness, I can feel freshness, I can feel floral tones, I can feel a lot, and it's very, very tough, but it's very, very cool as well. I don't think it's not an easy to like fragrance either. This is really kind of taking me down a vintagey path. And I will say that it does lean slightly more towards the feminine side, but the dry down definitely brings on a masculinity as well. So this is all over the place, kind of like this review. It takes forever to dry down, so you really do get an amazing long wear length of heart notes. You really get to feel this develop a lot and go on this journey. It's just really cool. But the last thing I can say, because I can talk about tons of different things in here and it's not going to make much sense because you have to smell it yourself, but the very, very dry stage is at the end, and this is ages after. I'm talking 10, 12, the very end of a day of work that I've worn this when I've sprayed it on really early in the morning, is the driest. It's like it gets progressively drier smelling, where the luscious florals all kind of dissipate, and then the very end of it, you're left with this rough, mossy, and dry, animalic type fragrance. Really cool. I can't compare it to anything else because nothing else smells like this. It just feels like it's from a time, but it doesn't smell like anything from that time. Really tough, and I'm sorry that I couldn't be better, but anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Forever Fragrant Kid, mwah to you. This is coming to you now, so I can post it. I'm actually want to click my logo down there to subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon for more reviews. Many more. Goodbye.